we go.
Hey, everybody. Got my friend Peggy here from Arizona, and I've got Bethany here from Alaska. I've never been to Alaska, Bethany. You were just saying it's getting colder there. Tell us what the weather's like there.
It is. Well, today, fortunately, it's a little sunny. It's a little partly cloudy, but it's about 62 degrees, and you get that nip in the air right around this time of season, so you can tell fall is coming.
Nice. I've never been to Alaska. I don't like cold. Right today we're 85 degrees, and Peggy, you were talking about not wanting hot and humidity. We are hot and humid. I was going to say hot and humidity, but we are hot and humidity. Tons of
I was going to say, Bethany, I heard that you already have termination dust.
No.
No?
I'm staring at the mountains right out my window. Nope, not. There's no termination dust out there.
Oh, I heard there was.
What does that mean?
I did not see it. So termination dust is a term that we use for when the tops of the mountains get sprinkled with snow.
Okay.
So
it's like terminating summer.
And it's funny. It's funny because I'm in Arizona and there's snow in some areas, but definitely not where I am. In a couple of years in the winter, we've had some snow on our faraway mountains. It doesn't stay long, but there was one year where it had it. And so I took a picture and I put it on there, termination dust. And no one knows what it means except an Alaskan, right?
Yeah.
But it was the other way around, termination. It wasn't.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And I wouldn't have known that. But you said that you two had met each other in Alaska. How did the two of you meet?
Peggy and I got our license together. Our license numbers in Alaska were like 3 numbers off or something like that.
I think it was only 14358.
14359.
See,
that's
you passed.
But we didn't go in there we didn't take it together.
No.
We didn't know we got them together.
No.
Yeah. So then how did you
take it the same day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you take it at APU?
I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So
see, and how many years ago was that?
A long time ago. 28 years ago.
Oh, and so that's what we're talking about. We're here to talk about building connections. And you two, that's a pretty good story right there. You're practicing what you preach, building those connections within agents.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think we know how to do that pretty well because in Alaska, when you live in such a small community, everybody knows everybody sort of. And so the whole just living there is all about your connections. And so when, it makes, it's definitely who you know and where you know, and they eventually, even when you don't know, you're making this connection in real estate, it eventually comes back to you.
Wow.
Right? You say that?
Yeah.
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 Because
it's kind of a cool thing. I mean, Peggy and I think have gotten really to know each other in the last several years. Because I was working for my mom as an assistant in 1996, so I wasn't really selling that much. And Peggy started selling right away. And I'll let you tell the story, Peggy, about your first deal with my mom, but maybe later. But really, just like in the last 10 or so years, right, Peggy?
Yeah.
And when she referred me her daughter, I helped her daughter buy a house here.
Oh, and a good compliment, right?
Wow. Helped her buy another one and sell another one. And so we've had the opportunity to work together and it's been awesome. And then those connections, from Arizona to Alaska, and I get to see her every time I go to Arizona. So
nice. Well, that's awesome. How often do you get to go to Arizona?
I go to Arizona mostly in the winter months and hopefully more frequently now that Peggy sold me a place.
See?
She's working very hard, though. It's hard for her to get away.
Yeah. So we try to go down for Thanksgiving. And then again, we like to be down there at spring training in February, March. So for spring training, that's a lot of fun. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Bethany, I remember when she was pregnant and now her daughter is married and works for her.
And working with me.
Yeah. I've got both of my children working with me too, and I love 99.9% of it. There's like a 0.5% that I'm like, I'm going to strangle them, but most of the time I absolutely love it. So I get that. Well, then where do y'all go to meet other agents to build those connections outside of just the two of you?
Well, and this year I made it a point to go to, I know a lot of agents in Alaska because of, I lived there for so long. But this year I wanted to expand my network. In the past, when I had gone to R4, I really only mingled with Alaskans. And then I realized I need to open this up bigger. And so I went to R4 and then I went to luxury, and that really helped a lot. But I don't think it's only connections with, only with agents. I mean, I just think it's some, like my significant other will say sometime, boy, that deal just fell on your lap. And I'm like, no, it didn't. I've been working. I know
We're
this
cultivating
person,
it. Yeah.
I've known this person for so long, and I've been nurturing that relationship for so long. And it sometimes it takes a long time.
Right.
No,
Exactly. It's not just it's not, I mean, yes, we network with a lot of realtors, and I'm within the leadership of the Residential Real Estate Council, and I've been doing that for several years through state leadership and now with national leadership. And so I've been going to celebrations and the national leadership conferences. And then this year, I've for several years I've wanted to go to luxury through Remax, and so I did that this year, and that was awesome. It was such a great conference, and it was so cool to network with people from all over the place. And I think networking with realtors is really important, but community wise, I was really involved with my kids' schools, and those connections are still, even though my kids are 26 and 24 years old now, and they haven't been in elementary school in a long time.
Yeah.
Those connections are still bringing transactions to me.
I 100%
right now.
Well, and I think we have such a great opportunity with social media. Like, I moved to Arizona in 2008, and I didn't know not one person. And I knew I wanted to be in real estate, but I didn't even know how to drive on these freeways. So it was like, how am I going to do this? And I quickly just started to figure out who was buying here, but I realized there was a little bit of an Alaska connection. So I worked that, but because we were on social media, this is kind of a cute little story. This was like 2009 or so. I have a friend. I grew up in South America in Venezuela, and I lived there the majority of my childhood. And I have a friend who I went to school with in kindergarten. I'm from kindergarten to 9th grade in Venezuela. And through Facebook, she found me right around 2008, 2009. And she said, well, where are you? And I said, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. And she said, oh, I said, where are you? And she says, I'm in Canada, but I'm going to Phoenix, Arizona next week. And I'm like, oh, what are you going to do? And I hadn't talked to her probably in 20 some years. I said, what are you coming here for? She says, I want to buy a condo. Guess what? She bought a condo from me. So
that's awesome.
You just don't know where your deals are going to come from, and because it's all about relationships.
100%. I 100% agree. And Bethany, I relate to you. I was PTA president for years in my children's elementary school, and I'm getting ready to get a listing next week that derive from that. And my children I'm now a grandmother. So that was, I agree, those connections are deep. And so then how do you maintain those connections? Because it's easy, whether it be agent to agent or people from 20 years ago, it's easy to meet them. I find it's harder to stay relevant and to keep up with them. What do you two do to maintain that friendship?
Well, it's definitely hard. I mean, oh my gosh. So I came into the business with my mom, who on August 19th just celebrated 50 years in the real estate industry.
Holy cow, that's
Ooh.
amazing.
So
Good
I know
mom.
it's an accomplishment. And I look back and I'm like, how did she do that? I mean, that's like it's impressive.
Amazing. Yeah, really.
And it's through those community connections. I mean, we're in Anchorage, Alaska, and we're a community of roughly 300,000. So we're a smaller community, and it's, we're involved in the arts, we're involved with the university, we're involved with the schools. And it's because of those connections where you're seeing these people at multiple different venues, right? And so you're able to maintain those connections. But for our business, we do an annual appreciation party kind of during the holidays. We invite everybody. The last year that we did it, of course, we had like record snowfall and a massive snowstorm. So like 30 people showed up. But
Wow.
still, we send out cards, we send out, postcards, we send out letters. We do all the same things. That it's not like any rocket science thing that we're doing. We do all the same things that everybody else does. It's just, I find
Consistency, I
it
think.
easier to have that personal connection when you run into somebody at the Performing Arts Center and they're going to the same show and you're like, how are you? How's your house? How is your family?
Yeah.
You're reconnecting with them.
That was really difficult for me here because I was used to that in Anchorage. In Anchorage, whenever you went to the grocery store, I mean, you don't have to go to the performing arts. You go to the grocery store and you see 10, 11, 20
Yes.
people. And my daughter used to say, do you have to talk to everybody, Mom? And so, I was
Yes.
used to that. And then I came here. And, it was so weird to me to go to the mall and not have anyone say hello to me or not have anyone know me. And so I tried to start networking a little bit. But then, we have here, Anchorage has what, 1,200 realtors?
Yeah, a little bit more, but yeah, something like that.
We have 60,000
Yeah,
in
we
our
have
Maricopa
4,000.
County.
Yeah,
So
you're
when I
kind of-
started to do what I knew how to do, which was like, okay, join the Chamber of Commerce, go to this, go to that, go to that. And I started going to these things. And every other person in there was a realtor too.
feeling great. All these connections with other realtors.
Yeah. So it took me a little bit. I try to do more things like, when I sell a house, I try to stay in touch with them. I try to go to lunch. I try to do like a lunch with someone once a week. And I do the other things that Bethany says I do, postcards and stuff and emails and newsletters and stuff like that. But I'm just a one-man show. But I found that it was harder in a bigger city to do that. You have to do it a little differently.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see that. So it's funny because Wilmington has about 120,000 and we have 4,000 agents. So I'm not quite as big as you guys are, but we do have more agents than you do in Arizona. I mean, not in Arizona, good Lord, not with 60. Holy cow. In Alaska with 1,200. I couldn't even imagine 60,000 people.
I can't either. I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and what was really interesting to me here was that in Alaska, you do multiple transactions with the same agent. So you get to know them really well. Yeah, that's how I knew Bethany's mom. I mean, one year I had 6 transactions with her in one year. And here you rarely do a transaction again. Like sometimes somebody will call me or something or text me, or maybe I'll text somebody about an offer or something. And I'm like, they're in my phone. Why are they in my phone? Because it's not, we don't know each other as much.
Yeah.
Like it's not as intimate.
Yeah. Whereas here, I mean, there's lots of realtors that I don't know here, but the ones that you tend to do the business with are repeats. I mean, that's how I came to Remax 10 years ago as it was, because I was doing the majority of my business with the realtors at Remax. I was like, well, if I'm doing the business with them, why am I not there?
That's
So,
exactly right.
yeah,
And that's, but what do they say? It's like 80-20 rule, like 80% of agents do all the work or whatever. 20% of the agents do 80% of the work or whatever
yeah,
it is. I guess it's the same thing anywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
And so you definitely get to know those agents that are the producing agents within
yeah,
your area.
for sure.
And it's super important to have those good relationships and have I completely always tell the team how important it is to have those positive agent to agent connections because
Right.
the agents that are assholes, and there's only like two of them that come to my head, but I don't show their homes. I mean, if I have a client that wants to see one of their homes, I'll pass it to somebody on the team.
Mm,
Yeah. And
Right?
well, yeah. And that was harder here too, because in Alaska, because there were so few, then you knew who those agents were,
Yeah,
right? You knew those
exactly.
agents. Here, you don't know as much. And so not to give them a bad rap, but I did have like this year I had my highest sale ever. And it was one of those that Phil said, "Oh, that just dropped on your lap," which is not true. It was from an agent that was in Alaska, but moved to another state and became an agent in
I was
another
gonna say
state.
Greg or Brian.
Greg,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
he sent me from Bend, Oregon, and so it was my relationship with him from 28 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. And how much was that sell? What is your sales price in Arizona?
Well, it varies from city to city within even the Phoenix metro. That was my highest sale, and that was 3.65. We have
Wow.
a lot higher than that, but that's the highest that I've ever gotten. And it
That's
was,
awesome.
yeah. And he called me up and he said, "Peggy, I'm so excited. I finally have a referral for you." I mean, he was just
Wow.
really excited, but it was really only based on that relationship.
That's
Well,
awesome.
that is really awesome. So I found sometimes, I mean, I love to go to the conference and I go to a lot of the conferences. And I was very involved, like you, Bethany, with the Residential Real Estate Council. I was on the board for North Carolina and I loved celebration. I did not do it this year because my life just got crazy.
Yeah.
Plus celebration was also it was also in Vegas and it was like 2 weeks after um,
Yes.
R4 was. And for me,
Before, yeah, it was 2 weeks before R4. It was like
yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
And for me, it's like a 9-hour flight to get over there. So I am definitely on the East Coast. So it's a anyway, I
It's
did
going to
not want
be
to
in
go that much
Nashville
place.
next year.
I know, and I plan to go. Actually, I've told the team where I
That's
think
a
we're
lot
going to take a
closer.
team.
A
It's a
lot
lot
farther from me.
closer.
But it's a lot
Yes.
closer.
And different. I'm not a big Vegas person. I go to R4 because I need to go to R4, but I don't like Vegas. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I think
I'm not
most people
super
feel
Vegas.
that way.
I
yeah.
get really overwhelmed by how many people.
It's over stimulus. You're like, holy cow. Did y'all go the year that Remaxes? It was like our big
When
whatever.
they turn 50.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, like
I
96
didn't go that year.
people.
no.
I didn't know if I was coming or going. I mean, it's always kind of crazy, but I thought it was insane. I did not enjoy that year at all. I had to I have like I don't do really well in big crowds anyway, so I have a lot of major social anxiety. So I would like go back to the room. I'd be like, oh my God, this is too much.
Yeah.
I've heard that from a lot of people. I didn't go to that. That was it was last year, I think.
Yeah, 2 years ago. It was 2 years
2
ago,
years
right? Or maybe I don't know. But some people love it. Yes, look, everybody's saying how much they love it. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. See
yeah.
y'all in Vegas now.
Yes, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, our 450 was
50.
crazy. Did not enjoy it.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it either. I mean, it was hard to even find people. I mean, God knows it was just crazy. I just thought it was crazy. But anyway, so I found sometimes keeping those agent to agent connections is a little bit harder. I definitely focus local and focus on my people. But I have in the past couple of years really expanded that to my people across the country. That are the agents that I really enjoy learning from, growing with, helping. I love to help them, and it's very reciprocal. Where
Mhm.
you find those agents that are kind of similar, like minded than you, and you can bounce ideas off of each other, and it's pretty amazing actually.
Yeah, I feel like Peggy introduced me to some folks down in at Luxury, and I feel like I made a couple of those connections there.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. I love the camaraderie, and the ability to bounce stuff off of people who are not in my market,
Yeah,
but have, we're all dealing with the same, kind of issues. And
absolutely.
so,
When I came back from R4, I was a little overwhelmed with all the swag and all the cards and everything that I had. And I still have 2 bags that I
oh yeah,
haven't
look what I
completely
have
gone
on
through.
today.
Yeah.
My
Bracelet.
unstoppable bracelet.
Yes,
There's
I
mine.
don't have mine, but I have one.
But and so I did start, I just kind of, this year I kind of decided I was going to go back to basics and be a little bit more focused. And I started making phone calls to the people I had met. And first of all, 95% of the agents don't answer their phone. And then when they do, they're like shocked that you call them.
Yeah.
And so I think calling people, even if, just making a phone call to those people that you meet at these conventions and calling them every night. I started calling some of them on their birthdays. If I saw it was their birthday, I called them. It just, then I saw one agent who I had briefly met at R4. I saw that she was she was a torchbearer. So instead of congratulating her on Facebook, I picked up the phone and called her, and she loved it. And now I'm really pretty good friends with her, because
Yeah.
of that phone call. So
I
I
think
would
phone
say
calls
pick up
go.
the phone.
I think it goes such a long way, and I think it's so wonderful. Our people over here, I'm looking at the comments, and they're answering each other's questions. So
Yeah, no, I just saw that question about celebration, and it's on my birthday, so I know when it is.
well, that would be fun.
March 19th, the 17th to the 19th. Yeah, in
Oh,
Nashville.
I'm gonna have to write that down. I didn't know that was your birthday.
See, everybody
That's
out
the
there, right?
same.
Bethany, you just wait. You're going to get inundated with
That's the
cards and
same birthday as
calls.
my brother.
There you go.
But I think you're right, Peggy. I think you hit the nail on the head because it's easy to give out swag, and I've given out swag in the past years, and I've spent thousands of dollars on it. And the best connections I made is just picking up the phone and getting to know people, just asking them about them. I
Yep,
think
and
it
I
goes a
and
lot further.
I follow it up if I can with a card, a handwritten card or something like that. And I don't expect necessarily anything. Nothing may come out of it except a friendship, and
Yeah.
that's enough for me.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Eric is from
Yeah, I
Virginia.
just saw that. That's an
Yeah.
awesome
He
comment.
he was on one. He heard me, God, just months ago on one of these, and he was like, "Hey, my daughter lives in Wilmington. I'm coming there." And I was like, "Here's my phone number. Call me when you get to town." And he did. And he and his wife and my fiance and I, the 4 of us, went out. And like 4 hours later, and a lot of alcohol later, I formed a really good, long-lasting connection. And since then, I just recently
I would
started.
say anybody coming to Scottsdale, they better call me because I'll
Yeah,
I'll take them out as well.
Yeah. I mean, and
absolutely.
I want to know when people come to Alaska too. I mean, hey,
See, right? But
I
but I think
actually, there's people who, there's agents who have come up like and done the cruises through Southeast, and they're like, "Are we going to be able to see you?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a little far away in Southeast Alaska, but it's a flight
yeah,
away.
exactly.
But I can tell you some good places to go eat and things to check out and all of that." So yeah.
Yes, Maureen. Yes, October 13th through the 13th. I will be gone the 12th, but I will be here the 10th and 11th. So yes. I'm putting you on my calendar now. I'm looking forward to it. I know, and I'll call you after this to see exactly what you're doing so we can schedule something fun while you're here.
Where's Cure Beach? What is
Curry
that?
Beach is so I live in Wilmington and there's 6 beaches all within a 20-minute drive, and Curry Beach is one of those. So it's literally like Carolina Beach is like 15 minutes from my house. Curry Beach is right past that, maybe 25 minutes from my house.
Nice.
So yes. Hold on. I'm putting it on my calendar while I'm thinking about it.
That sounds so nice to be at a beach.
Yes. So I have along like Florida. I'm not in Florida. I'm in North Carolina, but I'm on that same Atlantic Ocean, same beachfront as you get in Florida. Not quite as hot as it is in Florida, thank God. We do have seasons here. They're just very, very mild seasons. We rarely get snow. If there's even a thought of snow, I mean, even somebody says we might get a flat. Oh yeah, we don't have anything. So I tell people, like, we don't have salt for the streets. We don't have nothing. If it's a hurricane, we know how to handle hurricanes. Snow, the whole entire area closes. I mean, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah.
So we have seasons, but they're very
My
mild.
daughter went to school in Washington, in northern Washington, in Bellingham, and the school and the roads and everything would shut down when it snowed. And I mean, they get snow every year there. And she'd be like, "It's great. I can go on the roads. I can go on the highway. Nobody's out there."
That's hilarious. No, we don't even have salt. So we literally, like, everything's closed. And the few people that go out, I mean, you see them in the ditches because, I mean, it's not that not only do we not know how to drive on it, but it is pretty dangerous when we came and put salt down on the street. So it is like, I always call my northern clients, I always call them and be like, "Hey, I know you could drive. I know this looks easy to you, but I promise you our streets are dangerous."
Well, you have to give it to the Alaska agents. I mean, they're showing houses in boots. They're, chugging through snow. They're walking on ice. I went back this last February for a few days, and I walked across the street from one building to another, from Remax to residential. And I almost died. It was like, this is so treacherous and dangerous. And,
we had like 5 feet of snow too. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
I would die. I would like just turn into like a.
It's really funny because every year somebody always says something about my footwear. But as a born and bred Alaskan, I can tell you, like, heeled boots in the snow and ice, they work really well because you've got like a spike, like a
punctures it in there.
You're always like, "How are you wearing those boots? It's so icy." I'm like, "No, they're like little ice grippers."
Yeah.
I do usually have to like re-sole or something, but put a little bit better sole on it. But
yeah,
terrible.
And also in Alaska, I remember that I always had easy slip-on shoes because everybody takes their shoes off. And it's funny because when I got here and I started looking at houses or showing houses, I'd take off my shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, "What is wrong with you? Why are you taking your shoes off?" Because that's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody takes their shoes off. Still, like even in the summer.
I guess so you don't track into people's houses?
Well, it's such a winter thing, but yeah, when you're, I mean, if I'm not wearing my stiletto boots, I'm wearing my what we call extra toughs. Everybody can Google an extra tough. They're really ugly brown rain boots, basically.
Extra tough.
They're extra tough. They're indestructible. And you're just not going to chomp through 3 feet of snow and then walk into somebody's house with, and get water all over the place and whatever. So
ruin their floors.
Very used to it. And even in the summertime, I walk in and I just kick my shoes off. It's just what I do.
So well, that's nice. Are you being respectful?
Yeah.
And people, when I show houses to people from Alaska here, they take off their shoes.
Yeah.
You know what? I always ask when I enter a listing that if I don't know them, I always ask if I should take off my shoes. I just think it's polite, right? I mean, not that my feet are nasty or definitely don't have snow on them, but I think it just shows courtesy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, well, thank you, ladies. Unless y'all have anything else to say, y'all been one. I know both of y'all were nervous, but y'all don't act like it. It's like second nature to y'all.
I would just say that, people need, just a final note is just, I don't want to sound like we're just talking about our lives, but is just to nurture those relationships because you never know when they're going to come back, I mean, even like I remember there was a client that I had, and I wasn't even that, I didn't have a lot in common with this person, but I was like, I made it a point whenever she was in town, I took her out to lunch, and because you just know you have to nurture those relationships. We are in the relationship business.
100.
We are, yeah. And I mean, I have clients who are new to town. I deal with a lot of relocating clients who are coming from out of state, and they don't know anybody here. So inviting them to dinner or lunch or even just coffee. I do a lot of that. We meet for coffee and just catch up and see how things are going. And so those are huge for especially people who are new to the community and they haven't gotten into the school yet, or they haven't met their neighbors yet or whatever.
So Bethany, you should. One thing I was doing, I needed to start doing again, but I really enjoyed it, is inviting just like 4 or 5 people that are very similar together. Usually I drink wine, so usually we meet for wine or coffee, but either they've just moved to the area. Maybe sometimes I classify them together. Maybe it's their age, maybe it's a hobby that I've heard them say that they enjoy, maybe it's their children, maybe it's the lack of children, whatever it is. I'll put some sort of common denominators and just keep it small, so it's not sending out invitations and all that. It's just
right.
gotten
It's
2,
just like,
3,
hey,
4.
come and join me for a glass of wine kind of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might feel like that, like, it's hard to do it because sometimes if you're so busy and you're dealing with a deal that you're working on or whatever, you have to take the time, have to stop what you're doing to go meet with these people. And it feels like you're not working on what you should be doing. It is what you should be doing.
Wow. Well, when I've done it in the past, like I did it last September, actually a year ago, last September. And I had a group of people that met that they ended up spending Thanksgiving together because they didn't have anybody in the area. And they all got together and had Thanksgiving and took pictures and sent it to me. And I was not invited. But I was doing Thanksgiving with my family and kids and grandkids. But I was so excited that they had took that 1 hour that we had met together and developed relationships among themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. No,
because they're going to be talking about you.
They all send pictures, like, hey, what you want? So it's fun.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think making those connections is super important and maintaining them, and it's not a waste of your time. And as far as like my little meetups, I don't spend much time on it. I mean, I literally, if I'm talking to Peggy, I'm thinking, God, Peggy just said she likes to go to Alaska. Okay, I literally know nobody in the world that likes to go to Alaska. But if I was closer to y'all, I probably would. And then I would find, oh, this person mentioned it. For me, I had a bunch of people, not a bunch, but I had like 3 people that moved from Florida that were all military. They bought throughout different locations throughout Wilmington, but they're about the same age. They came in, and so I introduced those couples together, and they were super appreciative because they didn't know anybody else here.
Yeah.
Well, because also at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're connectors.
Right.
Yeah, I say a matchmaker. I match people with houses, with people, with everything.
I remember before I got into real estate,
referrals for dentists and doctors and all of that stuff.
Hairstylists, absolutely.
So
yeah.
100%. Well, wonderful. So I appreciate you, ladies. Thank
you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Yeah,
this is a great thing you're doing. This is wonderful.
Well, and this is my way of keeping in front of all the agents, right? And getting to know them at a deeper level and to try to maintain that friendship.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you. And I've got my bracelet. I should have worn it, and I'm sorry I didn't. But I'm going to put it on as soon as I go home.
You better.
I am. Don't you worry. I'll take a picture of it.
Okay.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. And tune in to next week.
We will.
Thank you.